Cheer, cheer the red and the white, honor the name by day and by night. Live that low.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Swans Bigfooty Podcast. My name is Bonz and joining me today we have Chunkychicken.
Hey.
And Swansrule100.
Hey, welcome everyone.
Now that was quite possibly the shittest performance we have had all year, and to serve up that crap in the final was rather infuriating. Swansrule, I know you have some very deep, angry thoughts about the game, so feel free to unwind and let us all have it.
Oh dear. What do you say? You finished first on the ladder. I started the year feeling like this was going to be a bit of a transition rebuilding year. I resisted getting my hopes up, and they build you up, and they build you up, and then they just chopped your bloody legs off. Thanks, boys. It was frustrating from go to way. Like early on, it looked alright, but XR kicked it like a woman, and a couple of people missed, and you just thought we were wasting a few chances. But I thought we were the dominant side, and I'm talking very early. Then we let them settle, and it was just sort of an uphill battle from there. I felt like there was a lot of moments where, and forgive me, I know we're not meant to blame the umpires, but I thought the umpires were very poor early on. I thought they were on the man. I lost a fair bit of respect for Stevie J and for Mumford, the way they played, and I know it's final and I know it works, but I'd rather not play that way. But I thought our response to that physicality was poor. And look, once Kennedy and Tippett got hurt, I don't think we ever were in the game. I think we held on, and I know it was close. And then when Heaney took that mark, they didn't pay and ran down the other end, and Cameron Gold, I think that just broke us. So a disappointing effort all around. I think there's a few players who we need to highlight. Firstly, I think Kennedy to basically get knocked out of space and still be arguably our best player says a lot about him and maybe a lot about his teammates. I thought Parker got a lot of the ball and butchered it all bloody day, so that was frustrating. I thought Buddy played an underrated game as our best midfielder. Unfortunately, Longmire forgot you need a forward line to win a game. And I thought out of all the kids who did settle quite well, I thought Aaliyah deserves special mention for the way he sort of settled in and took on the game. I thought it was our older players who let us down a little bit, like McVeigh. His tackles weren't sticking. And McGlynn, he just looked... The Richmond game was a false prophecy because he just looked way off the pace. I don't know what you guys thought, but it's just a disappointing day. The better side won. And to lose a final by that margin and that comprehensively is just really disappointing. That's the worst. That was the worst possible scenario. And to come out with two key injuries, it's a bitter pill to swallow going into this week. That's my thoughts.
Okay, Chunky, what are your thoughts? Do you have any performances that you believe stood up and players you really want to blast for that performance?
Oh, got to look at Aaliyah Pendlebury. Aaliyah, I thought he was pretty damn good in the first half. He brought that trademark dash and a little bit of a Jimmy and a dance and a bit of a twirl on a nightclub dance floor, and he was doing pretty well. But other than that, Rampy was looking like a bit of an arsehole at times. Mills was doing pretty well. Grundy was really solid. I thought he was pretty good. Nick Smith was done for pace, and his tackling was off. It was truly off. And his kicking was woeful. I can't even remember if he even hit a single target. Hanbury busted his guts and his balls like usual, and he butchered it. It was basically like round 18 to 21. Hanbury just couldn't hit a target. Not by hand, not by foot. Parker, again, like Swansrule said, it was just horrible watching him play. And it reminded me a lot of the 2014 Grand Final when the senior players just went to water. They were absolutely atrocious, not to be cited. McVeigh was, I don't know if he's unfit or if he's lazy, but his tackling was piss poor and non-existent. His chasing wasn't even there. He's just jogging after players. Franklin, best forward, best midfielder, and he was setting up goals in the first half. He was the only reason why we even kicked goals in the first half, and he was never even near the forward 50. Tippett, Tippett hurts us, but I don't think it really hurts us that much because he hasn't really looked that fit anyway. He hasn't had much of an impact in the ruck, hasn't had any impact as a forward whatsoever since he's come back. So, yeah, it's pretty bad to lose him, but I think with Nagovas coming in, we still have someone who's had some form. Xavier Richards was leading up to the ball pretty well, couldn't mark it like a bar of soap at times. McGlynn was horrible. Wow. I don't know what to say. Like he The only time he can hit a target is inside forward 50, lying out for goals. Anywhere else in the field, he will turn it over with passion. He was atrocious. Rohan couldn't get the ball. Even if he had the ball, he'd just butcher it like that. Shot on goal from about 35 out. Just what was going on there. Mills was pretty unfortunate. Across the rest of the forward line, you're looking at Papley. Papley was pretty good. He was impressive in the first half. Hewitt had a pretty solid game. I thought he was really good. Kennedy, after having his lights knocked out and sitting his own arse on the ground, was pretty good in the second half, although he looked like he'd spent the entire night out in the piss before. So, look, a couple of the senior players and most of the younger players really stood up, but all in all, I thought the second half was piss poor. In the first half, we were lucky to be in it. If Johnson was on target, we were smoked.
Yep.
I
thought Naismith played all right.
Yeah, I was very happy with Naismith on the weekend. He was winning the ruck headouts, and I honestly believe he beat Mumford when they were directly against each other in the ruck. Oh, yeah.
But he can't beat him around the ground. I wish he'd just dump him, just grab him and dump him like that he did to that Richmond hack. You know the one thing that I found, right? GWS have got the two most punchable faces in football. They've got Green and Johnson in the forward 50.
Oh, God.
I just want someone to do like a drive-by punch and bam.
It's really funny. I actually haven't minded Steve Johnson in the past, but Jesus Christ, on the weekend it pissed me off. It was interesting. I was thinking about this a while ago. We've really struggled in recent years, especially to really stand up under physicality. I thought we were really on top of the match until they started targeting our better players. They were saying they were physically moving Franklin under the ball. They were targeting Kennedy at nearly every stoppage, and it worked in the end for him. As soon as Kennedy went off the ground in a bit of a stumble, and Tippett was also out, and Mills, we really lost a fair bit of momentum, and the final kill of the day was Heaney dropping that mark. Oh,
yes.
I wouldn't say dropping, not getting paid that mark and then rebounding for goal. That would have given us an 8-point advantage.
He'd taken the mark and he'd actually landed on his feet, and then they come over with the spoil.
And they paid the same thing the other way earlier when Stevie J took one and a bit of a late.
Didn't he kick it on the floor?
But they paid the mark. Yeah, still. There's a photo on the AFL site where Stevie J's getting into Franklin early on, and you can see like McGlynn and maybe Jack and one other Swan, and they're just bloody standing there. Like, I think the way Stevie J was just trying to cannonball into everyone, and Mumford's got obsessed with being the tough guy. I don't like that style of so-called unsociable play. I think play the ball, not the man, and be tough at the ball, but regardless they were doing. And I think our guys just stood there and watched our $10 million player get belted into, and no one goes in and flies the flag, not even a bit of shove, or like they just back down. There's no one, when the pressure's on, who stands up in that Swan side apart from maybe Franklin himself. You don't see McVeigh getting in there anymore.
You're never going to see McVeigh and KJ get stuck in them. They might.
No. They might point.
Might point and curse and run away. That's about it. And say commiserations after the game.
And McVeigh's tackling was like I thought he was coming into form late in the year, but his tackling was just not sticking. It was costing. And if they get a break and run, you don't catch them. You can't afford to do those half-ass tackles.
Even his field kicking was horrible. Like he was not hitting a target to save himself.
We're for a poor kicking side, we kicked fucking poorly on the week.
Oh man!
But on the flip side, if you look at it glass half full,
we can only get better from here.
Well, I mean, they didn't. Only at the end it ballooned out a little bit. I know they outclassed us, but we could have played much worse. A lot of that loss is on us, not just them beating us. The best side did win, don't get me wrong, but we shot ourselves in the foot enough on the weekend.
There's a pretty shocking statistic at the end of the first quarter where GWS had worse kicking efficiency than us. We were about 65 and they were just under 50.
We've got this obsession with marking the ball. Someone marks it, and they look to handball straight away, even if the guy who is marking against them is still right up their clacker. Like, they don't make them get back or don't look around. Like, I'm all for quick ball movement, but every single bloody time. And Xavier Richards was one of the worst. Like, he would mark it, and it's like he was spooked by that shitty kick he did, and then he'd do the most retarded handball. Or
McGlynn and Mitchell were guilty of that so many times.
And Jay Lloyd, he's got to let the kick.
Well, there was that time when Rohan got chased down in the centre, and I don't know if it was Lloyd or Hewitt, who was about 15 metres away. They should have just been screaming their head off, like, kick the ball, kick the ball. He's just jogging through the middle through, like in a canter, just like, hey, there's no one around here. It's not final at all.
Do you think about that time in the game they just dropped their heads? They'd all given up?
Yeah, I agree.
I felt like that. It's like, no, well, let's play it out. We're done.
Game was still in reach. It wasn't,
I think they were mentally lost, though, by then, which is piss poor.
I was thinking about one thing. How often can you guys think of us actually winning a match after a bye in recent years, unless it's against Geelong or the 2014 prelim?
What, you mean like Geelong 2012?
Yeah, I can't remember any games where we've come off the bye and we've actually managed to win.
Or looked good.
Yeah, 4 years. I think, wasn't it 2012 was the last time we won after a bye? We lost to the Dogs. Haven't we lost to the Dogs twice in a row after a bye?
Not too sure.
I can't remember who we lost to last year.
For years, we always lost against Collingwood after the bye.
We knew it was coming. Like, I don't know. It's up there. It's a pain in the ass, but same as playing at ANZ. Like, we knew it was happening. There's nothing we can do about it. I mean, we lost. What did we lose to Richmond this year? I think, or last year off the bye.
Last year, it was last year.
Yeah, it was Richmond at the SCG. We dropped stupid games, but it's just I don't know.
It might be something with our preparation.
Shit, but it's a football ground. I don't know. There's nothing. No, you just want to find a reason why we lost, and there's nothing other than we were just shit. We were so shit.
Oh, no, I'm aware we were shit. I was just thinking about it because it doesn't really... It's something that hasn't gone well for us for quite a while, and I have a feeling that if we were playing one game in 3, just trying to find a positive, especially coming against a team like Hawthorn, we might have really struggled.
Yeah, definitely. I think based on how we played, if we'd managed to get over GWS, they would beat us. I've got no doubt about that.
So
I think any team in the top 4 would have beaten us if we just got over GWS, but not that.
So I was thinking, if we can try and run into a little bit of form this weekend, we match up a lot better on Geelong than we do against GWS, or the GWS and the Bulldogs are probably the two teams that we really match up the worst on out of any team in the top 8, because we really struggle with teams with pure pace.
Yeah, Adelaide, Geelong especially, because they're pretty slow through the midfield, except for Dangerfield.
I think we actually match up pretty well against Adelaide. We were pretty unlucky to lose to them this year.
I think we'll be okay against Geelong if we can beat Adelaide this week. It's just getting past Adelaide. We'll have to find a bit of form, and it will be interesting to see how players like what will most likely be Laidlaw and Nankervis who come into the team, how they play in the finals, especially Laidlaw because he hasn't been in the team for a few weeks now.
But he's also been emergency for a couple of weeks, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has.
So he hasn't played for almost a month.
No, he played on the weekend.
Laidlaw? No, he was rested.
Rested, yeah.
They took Nankervis and Laidlaw out of the team. But whilst there have been emergencies, they've still played a half in the reserves generally.
Yeah, okay. So we've been to replicate
we've been pretty lucky with our reserves fixtures because they've generally been the day after we've played our seniors match. So we haven't been too bad in that case.
I don't know. We're not going to beat Adelaide if Higginy, Rohan, XR and Franklin combined for 0 goals again.
Play like they did.
Yeah. I think the weekend will tell us something. I think if it all goes to plan, we'll see that Adelaide's win looks a lot better than it was because they played the North Melbourne Witches hats. And our loss might not look as bad in retrospect because the Giants are perhaps they are the flag favourite now, really. It's theirs to lose in a sense. So I think time might tell, and I think we should bounce back this week. We've shown this year one thing that we can bounce back after some pretty ordinary football in patches.
Yeah, especially that last loss. After the loss to GWS and then Hawthorn, the team definitely bounced back.
You know what shits me the most is that all week, like Punts and a few others on the board were going, I remember round 10, and I was like, well, what the fuck's round 10? Oh, sorry, what's round 10 got to do with anything? And then they beat us the exact same friggin' way, even with the Tippett injury replicated for good measure and another injury, but it was the same stuff again. We lost our structures, we didn't have a forward line, and they just ran off half-back and killed us. It was like, did Longmire watch the tape, or did he do any sort of research. I thought he was completely outcoached on the weekend, and that's disappointing again.
Which is surprising, because the first time we played them, we beat them quite comprehensively.
We did. But
we
it was
should
on
have
our,
beat them
on our
more
ground.
than 6 goals too, yeah.
So I don't know, but I think on the weekend it just felt like we spent so much time setting up defensively on their strengths that we forgot, hey, we're actually a good side and we might want to score if we're going to win this game, might need a forward line. And it was all about shutting down their run, which I actually thought we did. But they just killed us everywhere else. So
I think in the second half, it definitely went out the window, though. They were able to switch it out the back so easily and so quickly.
No, when Longmire's little coach's box boy, starts to look worried that things aren't going too well. Because he's normally pretty calm, but it looked like Horse might have been grabbing him a bit. Maybe rubbing his thigh or something, because he was starting to look a bit nervous in the box, I thought.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, it was quite disappointing just watching them switch out the back time and time again and then just running it down the wing for an easy inside 50.
Yeah.
That was the most disappointing thing.
I think you just got to throw the tape out and roll and go again this week. Not many positives out of that one, unfortunately.
Well, I will say, the one thing I found about watching that game compared to how we play at the SCG is I find that the SCG and the MCG are far more suited to the style that we play. When we do play at the SCG, because it's so wide, we do spread really, really wide, and then we can switch it efficiently through the mid to the other side of the ground. And that allows us to get a pretty decent, mid to shallow forward 50 entry, especially if we hit up. And that ANZ ground, it's narrow. That doesn't give you any room to spread out the outside. It's just all forced straight through the middle. And I think it suited GWS down to a T, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. GWS do seem more suited towards the narrow ground, especially because they can just run straight through it. Whereas if we're trying to use any form of speed, we generally move it by hand, cut out wide, and then go straight into the middle of the ground. GWS were very good at congesting the middle of the ground and stopping us from that switch on the weekend. And we didn't have enough space out wide to even go through the wing. They outcoached and outplayed us to a T, and well done to them. But it would have been interesting to see what would have happened if we had played at the GWS, the SCG, not GWS, my mistake. But there's no point in really crying over spilt milk. We do have what will be a very hard game this weekend against a team that rebounded into some form on the weekend in Adelaide. They've got some really important players. I'm just going to name some players to you guys, and you guys tell me how you'd go about trying to stop them. So the first player for you, Swansrule, Eddie Betts.
I didn't say Eddie Betts first. Yeah, Smith. He's our only option.
Yeah. Mills is gone. Otherwise, you might have put Mills on him.
I think our defence is really good, but one weakness I would say is when the ball hits the deck. If it's in there quickly, they can be exposed. And I think Betts got off the leash late and won the game last time, so Smith's got to stay close on him and try to make him accountable. And even at times, create some play. The only other option is to go if Laidler came in, I guess, but he's too slow. But he's got to look. Betts is really good.
They might bring in Cunningham, actually. I know Laidler's pretty much the default in, based on Mills going out and height for height, but Cunningham wouldn't be too bad because he's got that pace, so he can hurt him going the other way.
True, but you got to be able to outmark him.
Yeah,
and you won't be able to outmark. It's a shame that they've got so many tools, because Rampy would have been an awesome matchup for Betts.
Yeah,
he's got the athleticism and go.
Put on Jenkins, just someone who can run the goal square. They don't have to run very far. So.
Well, you'd think Jenkins will probably be Rampy. Walker will probably be Rampy. Jenkins would have to be Grundy.
Yeah.
And Lynch will get
Leah. And then you've got Laidler left. Who'll most
do
likely
you go Laidler on Lynch? Because Lynch plays plays further up the ground, so I don't know if Rampy will go with him. I think Lynch is almost more important in some ways. I think Walker's almost a decoy at times, because I don't think he's ever been as good since the knee surgery, and he tends to push further up the ground because he can kick it so far.
Aaliyah is the perfect player for Lynch, because Aaliyah gets a lot of his goals by running up the ground and then leading back into space. He's a very good running athlete.
So you're saying Aaliyah kicks goals?
No, I'm saying he's a good matchup for him because I believe he can keep up with him around the ground.
I think you made a mistake. You were talking about Lynch, but you said Aaliyah runs up the ground.
Sorry. I meant Lynch runs up the ground and then leads back into
Lynch
space.
and Walker lead up, it stays just down, and then Jenkins just runs his guts out and ends up in the fucking pocket and gets them all over the top. Joe the Goose.
Well, you see Lynch, sometimes he's all the way back to the back flank, and then he'll just sprint 80 metres to get into the forward 50. So
It'll have to be Aaliyah on Lynch.
I'd be worried about that. No, I would genuinely be worried about that. Like, he's got pace to match him, but he's pretty inexperienced, so he's going to get turned up on the wing, and then he's just going to get beaten back probably 6 times out of 10.
I'm not worried about his experience. He looked more composed than half the senior guys on the weekend, I thought.
Coming out of the defensive 50, yeah, but as soon as, like, the North Melbourne game, Petrie leading him up the wing, Brown leading him up the wing, just constantly just leading him out of the forward 50. He looked absolutely lost in that second quarter, like, he didn't know what was going on.
He fixed it in the second half, though. Who would you put on Lynch then, Chunky?
That's why I'm suggesting someone like a Cunningham and just tag. Or Mills would have definitely been the matchup in my mind. Like,
you realise Lynch is 194 centimetres. They just... If you've got someone like that,
they given away a couple of centimetres, but he would have been able to play almost like a midfielder off him and punch him.
But even if we're matching him up the ground, even if you can match him and he can get back into defence, if it's a one-on-one contest, they'd be getting smashed.
I'd probably put Marsh on him, to be honest.
Marsh wouldn't be a bad option.
He's got pace, he's got the endurance, he's got the physical side, and he's got the height. So I think that's pretty much the only matchup you can do. Could
Marsh play on bets?
So you got Smith on bets, you've got Marsh on Lynch, you got Grundy on Jenkins, Rampy to
Walker.
Yeah, and then you've got to worry about Jacobs as well, which probably get Aaliyah. So have
we effectively, if that's the way you go, have we ruled Laidler out as the in?
Laidler will be coming in. They took him out of the reserves last week for a reason. I feel as if Jones hadn't gotten knocked out, he would have come in.
Yeah. And I think they've lost faith in Cunningham. I don't think they're bringing him back.
He only got 15 disposals on the weekend, and he was beaten by his direct man.
Is there any chance that Newman comes in? He's been killing
it. Well, he's on the rookie list. He'd have to get elevated.
Well,
which we can do.
Let's put McGlynn on the long-term injury list. Someone crack his ankle.
I'm pretty confident Newman's on the
He was good, though. He was really good on the reserves game.
I think when you look at all those matchups, you could see them all being losses, like, potentially. But it's going to really come down, as always, to the midfield battle. Because if it's down there all the time, Smith can play his guts out. It won't make a difference. Because I thought Rampy tried his best against Cameron, for instance. But if it's always down there, what can he do? If you get enough leads, your forwards are going to dominate.
But he got pantsed something shocking in that game. Like, Cameron should have had 8-9 goals.
No, the thing with Rampy is he hasn't played 2 bad games in a row for a long time. So
true.
I think he's got to go to Walker. But I'm more worried about Lynch than Walker in some ways. But Walker probably kicked 10 now. I said that, so I don't know. I think shutting down Sloan will be the biggest key to the game. You saw how shit they were without Sloan against the Eagles, and there's a reason for that.
And we failed to do that last time. And last time he played against us, he got, 40 possessions or something crazy like that?
No, and Thompson might be all right on the SCG, smaller ground, if he's playing. So, I don't know. The rest of their midfield is good, but I think we're better than it. So, if Naismith can do his best against Jacobs and we get the ball down to our forward line, I think we're actually... Who have they got to play on our forwards?
Well,
really?
They've actually got a decent defence. They've got Talia, who is...
arguably the best key defender in the game. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Laird, who's a great defender as well.
Cheney, who's done pretty well.
I think this week we have to keep eating in the forward line and forget this midfield stuff. We need some goals. We need to attack. And he was shit on the weekend.
I'd play Rohan as more of a high half forward, or if Rohan comes out, Towers comes in and plays that same role. Towers probably won't come in because he was a bit shit in the reserves game.
Rohan and McGlynn are lucky there was injuries in the game.
Yeah.
You're not going to make 4 changes in a final.
I don't think we would have dropped Rohan. I could have seen us dropping McGlynn, but not Rohan.
Yeah. Well,
Rowan's been in good form until he's just had one off week. I'd give Rohan another chance.
But he's pretty shit in finals. Like, he's proven pretty poor finals, performer.
But he's a confidence guy too. So on the flip side, he just needs that one good final again. Like he needs a good game on the weekend, and he'll probably be great for the next two if we get that far. I don't know, but really, if Buddy needs to go back forward and kick 3 or 4 at least for us to win the game, we need to get. And the SCG probably allows him to run into the midfield still, but also get back and be a bit more of a presence in the forward line, rather than getting lost up the ground. So hopefully, Longmire remembers that goals win games and coaches like he did most of the year and forgets this defensive crap he went with on the weekend. Because then Papley took his chances, Hewitt did an alright job, so the team's there to win. And that midfield on paper, as always on paper, looks good, but can they hit a target?
Well, what do you think about Mitchell, if Thompson plays Mitchell to Thompson, and then putting Hewitt into the midfield to run with Sloan? And trying to play more of a tagger.
I would not have
role.
any confidence on Hewitt playing on Sloan on the weekend. And
He's not going to beat him. He's probably not going to negate him, but he does have the skills to hurt going back the other way, and he is a pretty good runner.
Hewitt on Sloan, did you say?
To try and limit him just a little bit, because who else have we got who can match up on him? Parker.
Just to rule you out on that option there, how often has Hewitt even played into a set and bounce situation this year?
He's gone in and out. No, he was in and out on the weekend, so he did it a couple times.
When we get desperate.
When we get desperate, or we're up by 100 points.
I think it's likely for Sloan this week we're going to probably try and run one of our better midfielders head-to-head with him and trying to hurt him the other direction.
Parker.
Maybe even Hanbury. Just try and make him accountable.
If we can make him accountable for Hanbury, that's a win in our books.
I'd rather Parker, to be honest. Parker against him, and
I don't think
he's
they'll go
outside.
set tag. They'll just try and pressure him at every stoppage. Like if we had any sense, you'd just smash into him at every bloody contest, just about anyone. But Hewitt's one of the only players, apart from Buddy, who applies pressure and keeps the ball in the forward line. So we need him up there to try and keep the ball from going straight back out and rebounding. What about McVeigh? Could always go run with.
Oh God, no!
Try something.
Didn't you see McVeigh run on the weekend? He looked like an old crippled man. The only thing he was missing was his walking frame.
Well, standing at half forward pointing at everyone's not going to win us a final. So if he could just come and do something.
He can warm the fight on the bench.
What about McGlynn on Sloan? How would that go? He used to tag, remember that?
Oh, he used to be a pretty good tagger.
If only we could get a elite tagger Craig Bird back in the side.
He would get owned, man. He would look like a fool against Sloan.
I guess if you're guessing what Horse might do, I think you sort of picked it early on. Maybe Mitchell, if someone does tag Sloan. But Mitchell has looked average without a tagging job of late since the Hawthorn rumour started. Coincidentally, he hasn't looked himself for a while. He hasn't been terrible, but he just hasn't had much of an impact.
He's actually, I thought he's looked a fair bit goal hungry, quite selfish in his play actually. Even especially early in the game, there was a couple of opportunities where all he had to do was square it, and he just tried to bang it long, or he just tried to kick it over his shoulder without looking. There was one time he was running inside forward 50 and he's had a blaze of goals, and I think it just went in for a point, or might have gone out in full. And there was Franklin and I can't remember who the other one was, just Xavier Richards, just standing there with their arms up like, we're here, pass it to us.
Yeah, but he probably was trying to hit them, to be fair, the way he kicks. He may as well run around with a beach ball the way he kicks the ball of late. It's just shit house. So,
goals have a ping.
Just handball. But, yeah, I think the key will be to stop. Every time we mark it, you don't have to fucking handball and play on. Occasionally stop and look around. And if Jake Lloyd gets 35 possessions of just nothing again, he's got to add another string to his bow, or he's going to have a very short AFL career from here, in my opinion.
Well, it's like I've said before, when the pressure really gets switched on, I think he just goes missing. And he doesn't have a big frame, so he's quite high. He gets the ball, but he could do things with it, but when he's got that real high finals pressure on him, he just fucks up constantly, and the decision making is quite poor.
I don't know, but I thought against the Crows last time, my one memory of Buddy on Talia was he spent a little bit too much time trying to work Talia under the ball and run off on him rather than outmark him. And I hope he doesn't get caught up doing that again, because we need a big game from him this week. He hasn't kicked a goal in a final since 2014, so if he could get on the board early, that'd be good.
He didn't play too last year.
Still, he hasn't kicked a goal in a while. No, but look, I think it's just based on the weekend's form. There's plenty of upside left. If our midfield gets on top and plays their natural game, I think there's too much firepower there for Adelaide. But it's a big if the way they both looked on the weekend, the two sides. So should be a good game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a close game this week. I can see one of either team breaking away in the final quarter potentially. But I think it will be a close game, and I'm expecting us to really step up this weekend.
Oh, if Adelaide breaks away, the form's going to melt down. It melted down before.
Go out straight to the game, are there bigger issues at play? Does it mean much to go out twice in a row in straight sets?
I think it's a mental problem more than anything. The way they played on the weekend, that was definitely between the ears. No fitness issues in that performance. It was definitely between the ears.
No. Well, coming from by, I think it's almost the end, especially if we go out in straight sets. McVeigh should almost retire. He should hand the captaincy over anyway, in my opinion. But
I don't think it's the end if we go out in straight
top-end
sets.
players should go.
I don't think it's going to be the end if we go out in straight sets. We might need one or two changes in the team, may need to bring another player in. But if you look at all our younger players, they're going to be better for the experience this time next year. I mean, how good is Alira going to be next year?
Yeah, absolutely. Full pre-season.
Heaney with a full pre-season.
So would it
Mills with
almost
another
be
pre-season.
just coincidence that we went out 2 years in a row because this is a different team, essentially? Because it's not like Goods and Shaw and Ted.
I believe this is a
and all
different team to the one that went out last year. And the one that went out last year was on its last legs with injuries as well.
Because we're the third youngest top 8 side this year, I think.
Yeah.
Last weekend we were.
I'm not too far. I think if you're looking at the players in our team that may go a bit more backwards next year, well, McVeigh hasn't had a good year anyway, so I'm not too concerned about his performance. Grundy we can't expect Grundy to repeat this year's effort, but he'll still be a solid contributor next year.
And then you got Tippett and Buddy will both be 30.
But I don't think. I think maybe if Tippett was looking fantastic until the most recent injury, which was just really bad luck.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can have a full year, and that'll be better for us. Buddy, we'll probably expect about the same. He seems like the type of player who won't really age for another couple of years yet.
Yeah, Franklin and Tippett desperately need pre-seasons to be effective during the season.
Well, Franklin had a full pre-season this year, so.
The season 2015 he didn't, even 2014 he didn't.
Yeah. Well, this was his first full pre-season this year, and look how much better he was looking. Especially, we've changed his role in the second half of the year, but it's not a bad thing. I think he's been fine. Like, if you're looking at it, we might have a small drop-off from Smith and Jack as well, but they're not that old yet. I think we're going to be okay.
I think we've got a really good future. I just wondered if it's time to cut a few of the older blokes maybe a year early if they went out straight sets. That's just
I don't think we will. I don't think we will, and I doubt we'll be cutting McVeigh. Remember, McVeigh missed nearly the entire pre-season this year and started behind the 8 ball as well. He's a player in the past that has predominantly relied on his fitness as well. He hasn't exactly got a lot of speed.
Yeah, but his skills will let him down though. And I agree. I think this might be the last or second last season for him. And I've said before on the forums that I would be surprised if he doesn't hand down his captaincy at the end of the season. I think, as far as on-field leadership goes, I think he's in the last 2 seasons he's really sort of missed the point, which is a bit ironic considering his nickname is Mr. Pointy. But I think his on-field leadership's really let the team down.
Who would you say, if he steps down this year and Jack stays on, who else do you see stepping into the co-captaincy?
I think Kennedy.
No,
I think Parker.
I would say Parker. Kennedy's a great player, but he doesn't seem the sharpest tool in the shed.
He is the most inspirational player we have on the field.
He's the best.
I don't think any of them are the sharpest tools in the shed. They can't hit a fucking target or keep the forward structure.
I'd almost be tempted to give to Franklin.
No chance.
I don't think he'd ever. I would agree, but he doesn't seem like he'd even want it. He's not even in the leadership group.
He's turned himself around, right around personally. He's turned himself around. And
I don't think he'd put the pressure on himself to do that. There's no chance.
Those players won't ever vote him into the leadership group.
Which is a shame. It really is.
Well, they might vote him into the leadership, but I think he wouldn't even put his hand up for it.
No, you'd have to learn everyone's names. I think he only knows like Hanbury and Rohan. Maybe Tippett. The others are just, yeah. I don't know. Maybe Tom Derrick's going to be captain next year.
Tom Derrick's, yeah.
Is he available this week? Like,
Drex the T-Rex.
pull a surprise move and bring him in.
Could you guys see Hanbury potentially as captain?
Eventually, but I don't think he would.
He's too much of a lad.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be a great captain. You've also
I agree with it. I agree with Swansrule suggestion of Kennedy before.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with Jack being captain anyway. I think this year he's actually been all right. I think I've noticed him more when he's out. Yeah, so I don't know. So, but to me, if you were going to have another one, I think Kennedy's the best midfielder in that team still, and Hanbury's second best. I love Parker, but he needs to perform better in the big games, in my opinion.
Yeah,
He's
still very young as well. Parker is only 20, turned 23
exactly.
this year, so not an issue yet.
Knowing the Swans, they'd probably go someone like Nick Smith or someone.
Well, Nick Smith was touted as the next captain years ago.
It'll all come down to who's the most popular or who's in the clique or something.
Spud Grundy.
Oh, imagine SM's Mel. That'd be beautiful.
Make Laidler captain. Doesn't even get a game.
Okay, anyways, guys, predictions for this week?
Look, I think there's a part of me actually thinks we could lose this game. I don't know too many teams bouncing back from that sort of loss in the final, to be honest. But whether it's biased or not, I think we are a better side than Adelaide. I think the midfield back at home will win the game. And I'm going to tip the Swans by 9 points, but I'm admitting that there's a fair bit of bias in there. And I think the Crows win against North Melbourne. I think they made harder work of it. And I know the scoreboard looks awesome, but harder work of it than it should have been. I don't think they're as good as other people think they are. So I'll back us to bounce back and have a narrow victory. And Buddy will kick 4 goals.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Pretty close margin. I think we're looking at like a 2 to 3 goal margin. I think 2 goals would be about it.
I suspect we might lock it down and make it a bit dour.
I was thinking sure thing would be the winner would score just over 70 points. I can't see it blowing out. I don't think the Swans would want it to blow out simply because Adelaide could just score too easily and too fast. So I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle, a bit dour and pretty low scoring. So my sure thing would be the winner for under 75 points. And I reckon 2 goals.
My sure thing would be if the Swans lose, there'll be celebrations galore on the Hawks board. So, fuck me.
Yeah, it won't be long-lived though.
And implosions on ours.
Oh, you know what would be great though? If the Dogs get up over the Hawks.
Ooh. Oh, seriously? The only highlight of the weekend, and I love Chunky's profile picture, Isaac Smith missing that goal, that cocky turd.
We were there. Me and my partner were at the game, and we just laughed hysterically. It was the best just watching him line up and shank it.
Because not to derail the podcast, sorry, Bonz, but what the fuck were Geelong doing in the defence in the last minute? You're leading a final, minutes to go. Oh, let's just watch Hawthorn waltz down the ground. Seriously.
I reckon a shot at goal in the last minute was what nearly killed him. Should have taken it over the line.
What was Motlop doing?
If he'd taken it over the line, they would have never gotten a chance.
If they win the premiership, they'll be one of the worst premiership sides ever, just about.
I think I might quit watching football.
Anyone but Hawthorn, though.
I'd rather Geelong. I'd rather Geelong than Hawthorn or GWS right now.
I'll slit my wrists, but, whatever.
My tip for this weekend, I believe the Swans will win by just over 20 points. And my sure thing, Rohan to kick 3 or more goals.
Oh, good God.
Oh, is there a reserves game on this week? You talking about the Walnut?
We're playing Richmond again.
Rohan to get tackled.
Rohan will kick 3 or more goals this week, and I'm going to come on gloating to everybody. I will be the most horrible fan of all time.
Yeah,
if we win, I don't care.
I think we'll put up with that.
I think, I think if we lose, Sam Reid to become even more valued amongst the board than he is now.
Wait, he's got value on the board now?
Oh,
please
Bambi.
Please don't tell me they're talking about him getting picked. That would just be the worst selection.
Won't happen.
No, not
anyway, good news for everyone. I'll be at the game, and I've only been to 2 this year, Carlton and North. So that's how we play when I'm in attendance. So yeah, good.
Anyways, guys, thank you for listening very much tonight, and good luck to the Swans on Saturday. Thank you and good night.